And so we were talking a little bit earlier. Can you share a little bit more about what you do?
I am a foster mom caring for two boys, siblings, and I'm also a pastor at Trailhead Church in Longmont and a co-founder of a nonprofit called Little Willows that serves children who are in foster care.
And how did you start your ministry?
Trailhead was a church plant that I actually joined right before launch, and Trailhead has been a place to process my faith thoughtfully. I started going to Trailhead in my own faith journey of just needing people to walk with. And then I found a really amazing community of people that I got to journey with. And then eventually God had me on a path of being a forerunner, a leader. And so just recently received a pastoral license. So now I can invite others on this discovery process.
What are you guys doing that really makes an impact for foster families in Northern Colorado?
One of the core values at Trailhead is to really focus on matters of justice, because we believe that our God is a God of justice, and therefore things of this world that we see that lack that, we are invited to participate in a journey of restoration, of redemption, and of advocacy. And so at Trailhead, we focus on 3 different initiatives on an ongoing basis. So once a month, we spend one Sunday always focusing on a matter of justice. And one of those is around the challenges that families and children face in foster care. That's both the children that are in foster care, their biological families that are dealing with a lot of loss and grief and challenges in their life, as well as the families that are opening up the homes to children that need a place for safety and for healing. And so we want to be able to learn, first of all, what's happening in the foster care system. We bring in professionals from the counties, from CASA, from different areas of foster care, so we can simply learn what's happening. We don't really know what these children and these families need unless we learn first. So we always want to take a posture of listening, taking the opportunity to simply lament. And lament is really naming the reality that this is not okay, that there is a lot of opportunity for these children to have a better path in front of them. And so then we can act, we can do something to encourage, to support, and to advocate for these children and these families. So at Trailhead, that looks like coming alongside foster families and providing meals, providing prayer, providing respite care, providing a church environment that gets it. Our community also offers foster parent night outs. And then we also understand that the goal is reunification. And how do we help families be able to achieve reunification if we're not also aware of the struggles of mental illness, of addiction, of food insecurity and poverty? And so we really want to be aware of what's happening in our community. We as a church cannot do it all, but we can all support, we can partner, and we can contribute to what's going on in our community from other organizations that are doing incredible work towards those things and providing a better life and some resources that are needed for those people. Our church is a very small church. We meet in the oldest historic building in Longmont on Main Street. So we bring in a lot of different people, a lot of diverse backgrounds and experiences, social economic backgrounds. So we're not necessarily creating new programs, but we want to support programs in our community that are doing things to support these families really well. We want to make sure they continue to do what they're doing.
So what helped you become more involved with Colorado Kids Belong, or inspired you?
I joined the fan club of Tracee very early on. The team that's leading Colorado Kids, they do it with such passion and heart that Trailhead began to just build relationships with the Colorado Kids mission and the staff and what they're doing, and encouraging foster-friendly businesses on Main Street. In so many ways, there was a lot of people within our church that were already trauma-informed, that were already getting involved. And so we realized that, we are foster friendly. We want to welcome and encourage and equip and connect with the families that are opening up their homes and hearts to our children.
There's a lot of different ways that churches can participate.
A lot of churches get hung up on providing a program to meet a need. Yeah. And I think our church really sees it as an opportunity to be a community, to walk alongside a need. We're not program-based type of community. So in that way, it's just articulating the willingness and the openness to consider like, what would it look like to walk alongside a child in foster care?
Is there like a experience with your church that kind of sticks out in their involvement with Colorado Kids Belong or the foster friendly community concept?
The one quote from my son that keeps coming to mind is him sharing one day with me, like, well, before we didn't know about things like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and God. And so just the reality of his world being formed by the people around him and the rhythms that we're in and the places we go and the people that show him love, has greatly impacted his view of the world around him.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I think it takes time. I think that's the reality of it. It takes time to know what's happening in our communities, and then it takes time to know how we are best to respond given our gifts and our abilities and our family's capacity. But I think that there are opportunities every single day that we could take advantage of saying yes, whether that's praying for someone, texting someone, bringing a meal, having a play date, or just showing concern. And you start talking to your kids, and then they start to notice maybe a kid having a bad day, and they start to ponder, I wonder what is going on, and I wonder how I could help them in that moment. Sometimes big program things have great intent, and we really all love shopping for other people. But what these kids need most is people who show up in their life day after day. And so that's what we want to do as a community, is to be people that show up day after day after day.
Love that.
It's like being a good neighbor, right? To love our neighbors as ourselves. What does that look like? How does that look in our everyday lives, in the places that we work, in our schools that our kids attend, and down the street? That's really what we want.
Sounds like using what God has given them and their skill sets to come alongside when opportunities arise.
Yeah, and we know from research that healing happens in relationships, but also in community. There's a need for relationships for these children, right? So as a faith-based community, we get to be a place of healing for these kids.
Do you see like being a foster friendly community with your church as like a way to bring joy?
Yeah, I personally have done a lot of work and research, and I speak often on grief and suffering. And I see the opportunity for us to walk alongside grief and suffering in our community is actually allowing the path forward for joy. It's actually something that is allowing us to gain strength and courage and endurance for the season ahead of us. And so with my boys, it's been those seasons of grief that we've worked through together, that then when we are enjoying a moment of dinner around the table, or when we are enjoying a glow stick dance party, that we can feel joy being able to gift that to a child and to see that on their face or see that in their eyes. Like that is one of the greatest joys that we have in this world.
Have you witnessed some of your congregation members that might have had a similar experience with joy and like being a foster friendly community?
Yeah, absolutely. So our congregation at Trailhead is multi-generational, which just means that we really want to cultivate relationships among generations. And so when we gather for a meal around a table, we are gathering from 4-month-old to 75-year-olds, and really developing relationships no matter how old you are, because we all have insights into this world and we can all learn from one another. One Sunday in particular, my oldest really loves babies, and sometimes Sundays can feel super chaotic. And when this little baby came and he sat and he held that baby, he felt peace. Through these multi-generational relationships, I just see a huge impact, because we also know then that children are able to develop a sense of who they are and who they belong with and their roles and their place in that, and then also be encouraged by those that have walked ahead of them. And it's been a really cool place of community within Trailhead, just to see my boys be able to have people who ask about their lives, that know what sports they're playing, that comment on their favorite t-shirt that they're wearing, but for them also to become leaders too in this community for kids.
That's really special. That can bring a new joy in life.
Yeah, I think we all desire a community we feel like we have purpose and that we have safety in, and that we have people that care about us. So to have a community that's willing to think outside the box and to be able to think in ways that may allow for a child to just be who they are, I think can be really healing for kids.